Test 11 review covering Module 11 on matrices. Questions 1 and 2. It says use a matrix to organize the data. So down below I have a table and we can create a matrix by just using the inner boxes. So I'm going to bracket just the numbers inside. And the numbers, the prices I have inside here form my matrix. Letter B, what are the dimensions of the matrix? Remember, when you do the dimensions, it's always rows by the columns. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and I have 1, 2, 3 columns. So this is a 4 by 3. Letter C, what is the value of A42 and what does it represent? So the 4 represents row 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so I'm in the coffee row. 2 means the second column, so that would be $1.10. That's the value of A subscript 42, and what does that mean? It means a coffee, actually a medium coffee, costs $1.10. Question 2, create an incidence matrix for the graph. So my vertices, where you have the letters, those are all going to be my rows. And then the number of each edge, or our lines, are going to be my columns. So whenever there's a line attached to a point, that point is going to have a 1. Everything else is going to be a 0. So if I look at letter A, I have it's attaching line 1. So I know I'm going to put a 1 for A because line 1 is touching A. If there are any other lines that touch A, that would be line 2. So I'm going to put a 1 for 2. Line 4 also touches point A, so I'm going to put a 1 for A, or 1 for 4. And then line 6 also touches A, so I'm going to put a 1 here. That means 3 and 5 don't have any line aren't touching A, so I put a 0 there. Next for B, I look at point B, and I notice that 1 is touching it, so I put a 1 here. This one is line 5, so I'm going to put a 1 at 5. Nothing else touches B, so the rest are zeros. Then I look at point C. I have 2 touching that. Two is going to be have a 1 with C. 3 is touching C, so I'm going to have a 1 at 3. The rest are zeros. Then I look at D. Only 3 and 4 touch it, so I'm going to put a 1 at 3 and 4. Everything else are zeros. Then our last one, we got E. We just have 5 and we have 6. So I put point 1's at 5s and 6. Everything else is 0. And there you have your incidence matrix. Question 3. Find -3 times h for h equals 2, -12, 5, 0. So 3 is our -3 is our scalar. So I'm going to take -3 and I'm going to multiply it by every number in my matrix. So now I have -3 times 2 is -6. -3 times -12 is 36. -3 times 5 is -15. -3 times 0 is 0. So our new matrix would be -636, -15, 0. Question 4, find the following. Here we have a scalar in front, so we're going to multiply. We're going to follow order of operations, and then we're going to add our answers. So 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. And then to that one, I'm going to be adding the other matrix. So 1, 6, 1, 2, negative 3, 1. So my answer, 0 plus 1 is 1. 6 plus 6 is 12. 6 plus a negative 1 is 5. Negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. And 12 plus 1 is 13. So when you add matrices, you're just adding the same element that's in the same position. Question 5. Find GH if G is 1, 3, 8, negative 4, and H is 5, negative 2, 9, 4. So when we multiply matrices, I have to make sure that the dimensions work. So this is a 2 by 2, and this is also a 2 by 2. I need to check if these middle two are the same. Since they are the same, my answer is going to be a 2 by 2. So I'm going to draw my 2 by 2 here. Now I'm going to fill in the blanks. So this first blank right here, this is row 1, column 1. So I have 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 9 is 27. So 5 plus 27 is 32. This one right here is row 1, column 1. So 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 3 times 4 is 12. So negative 2 plus 12 would be 10. Next one is row 2, column 1. So I have 8 times 5 is 40. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. So 40 minus 36 is 4. Then our last one, this is in row 2, column 2. So 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. Negative 16 plus a negative 16 is a negative 32. Question 6, find the discriminant. So when we find the discriminant, you're going to take diagonal, the product of the diagonal down. That's going to give me 12. And I have to subtract from there the diagonal going up. Negative 2 times negative 6 is a positive 12. And I subtract my answers, so 12 minus 12 will give me 0. So the discriminant would be 0. Actually, this shouldn't be the discriminant. This should be the determinant. So we were finding the determinant on that one. Question 7. Find the area of the triangle with the vertices located at 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 6, and 3, negative 2. So for this one, remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. Now we don't know the base and the height, so we're not going to worry about that part, but we can solve this with matrices. So I'm going to have 1/2 times, I'm going to make my matrix here. So we have 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 6, and 3, negative 2. So these just form, these ordered pairs just form our first two columns, and the last column is just all ones. Now we're just going to make find the determinant of a 3 by 3. I'm just going to erase this part, and I'm going to put these next two columns next to it. All right, so now we're going to multiply going down first. So 0 times negative 6 times 3 is 0. Negative 1 times see. This should be 0, -6, and 1. Then we have -1 times 1 times 3 is -3. Then we have 1 times -2 times -2, which is a +4. If I add those together, I get 1. And then the other direction, so the other direction, we're going to go 3 times 6 times 1 gives us 18, -18. -2 times 1 times 0 is 0. And then 1 times -2 times -1 is a +2, which will give us a -16. Now I have to take the going up first, so -16, minus the diagonal going down, so minus a 1, which will give us an answer of -17. Now that we have -17 as my determinant, now I'm going to take the absolute value because I can't have negative area. So -17, the absolute value of -17 is 17. Multiply that by 1/2 and I get 17 halves, or 8.5. Question 8. Solve the system using Kramer's rule. So these two sections here form my identity, or like the coefficient matrix that we're going to have on the bottom. So if we're going to solve for x first, I have 3, 2, -4, 5. And on top, if I'm trying to solve for x, I put my solutions in for the variable I'm solving for. So I put 26, 2 here, and the y stay the same, -4, 5. And I find the determinant. So 26 times 5. 26 times 5 would give us 130. And 2 times -4 is -8. So minus a -8 really means I'm adding 8. So I got 138. Here I got 15 minus -8. Which really means I'm adding 8, which is 23. 138 divided by 23 gives us 6. So x would equal 6. Then I have to do it again. But since I already know the bottom, I know the bottom is 23. I need to find the determinant on top. So now I have 26 over here and 2 here because I'm solving for y. Over here, my y stay the same, or x stay the same, 3, 2. So now I have 6 minus 52, which really means negative 6 plus 52 will give us 50. See, yeah, 6 minus 52. So 6 minus 52 gives us -46. -46 divided by 23, y would equal a -2. So that would be our solution. Question 9. Solve the system using Kramer's rule. Here, I don't have enough space to show using Kramer's rule. On the test, I'll allow you just to use your calculator to solve it because it'd be worth 3 points. So I'll grab my calculator. And we're going to create our matrix. So these first 3 are the coefficients of our x, y, and z form our one matrix. So I'm going to hit second matrix. Need to go to edit. And I need a 3 by 3, which I have one in here right now. I hit 1, and I just have to make it sure it's a 3 by 3. So 3, enter, 3, enter. Then I'm going to put my coefficients in here. And you'll notice that my coefficients here match with the coefficients here. Now, I'm not going to put those in because they're already in here. But always, if they weren't, you just type in the numbers, hit enter. Then we have to do our second matrix. So hit second matrix, edit. I need a 3x1, which is number 2. And that's our answers at form 1. So it's a 3x1. And then I type in 14, negative 19, and negative 5. Once they're in here, I get out of the whole thing. So by hitting second mode, and then I gotta go back into the matrix, second matrix. I'm choosing number 1. And then I'm going to use the inverse, which is the x to the negative first button, times second matrix, my 3x1, which is number 2. And then if I hit enter, we see my solutions. Negative 1, x is negative 1, y is 0, and z is 4. Question 10. Find the inverse of matrix A. So to find the inverse, we're going to first find the determinant. So 2 times negative 6 is negative 12, minus negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, which will give us an answer of negative 2. Now I have to take the reciprocal of our determinant, which will give us negative 1/2, and then I multiply it by, and here's where I have to remember to flip the numbers, the A and D, so negative 6 and 2, they flip, and the other two I keep the same, but I do the opposite signs. So it'd be negative 5 and then a positive 2. And then I just multiply like a scalar. So negative 1/2 times negative 6 equals 3. Negative half times 5, negative 5 gives me 5 halves. Negative half times 2 is negative 1. Negative half times 2 gives me negative 1. My answer would be 3, 5 halves, negative 1. And our final question, solve the matrix equation. So here we're going to use the inverse to solve as well. But first I need to find the determinant of this top part, or this first part. So 1 times 1.1 is 1.1, minus 3 times 1, which is 3. And when I subtract them, I get 1.9. A negative 1.9. Now I take the reciprocal of that, be 1 over negative 1.9, and I multiply that by, and here's where I have to switch them again, so 1.1 and 1, and then switch the signs, negative 1, negative 3. And then when I multiply those, I now have 1.1 divided by a negative 1.9. That gives me a negative 11/19. Negative 1 divided by a negative 1.9 gives me 10/19. Then negative 3 times, or divided by negative 1.9 gives me 30/19. And then 1 divided by negative 1.9 gives me a negative 10/19. So for this one, then I'm going to multiply that by this matrix here. And so if I have a 2 by 2 times a 2 by 1, my answer is going to be a 2 by 1. So I'm going to take row 1 times column 1. So I'm going to take negative 11/19. And I'm going to multiply that by 16.4. And then I'm going to add to that 10/19 times 38.94. and I get 11. So that one is telling me right now C is 11. Now to find Z, I'm going to take row 2 times this column. So I have 30 19ths times 16.4 plus negative 10 19ths times 38.94. And I get an answer of 5.4 as my Z. And that would be our solutions. So those are the types of questions you can expect on your Module 11 test.